Hi, Sandeep.
हाँ जी, नमस्ते।
हेलो। नमस्ते
हाय,
नमस्ते।
कैसे हैं?
बस बढ़िया।
मैं कहा टेस्टिंग कर लेते हैं, सब ठीक-ठाक है कि
हाँ
नहीं।
हाँ।
आप लोगों का
we
कोऑर्डिनेशन हो गया था?
हाँ हाँ, I spoke to Franz yesterday and then today we at 5 o'clock we met. Dharmendra also
हाँ,
joined and we had a
हाँ।
discussion.
दिस इज़ द मोस्ट एम्बिशियस थिंग वी आर डूइंग।
I
इससे
know,
पहले
very interesting.
हाँ, फर्स्ट टाइम पैनल किए हैं। हाँ, हर समय एक स्पीकर होता है और एक मॉडरेटर। पहले तो स्पीकर होता था, फिर हमने
Hmm.
मॉडरेटर इंट्रोड्यूस किया। अब हम लोगों ने डिस्कसेंट आपके साथ डिस्कसेंट ऐड किया।
हाँ,
तो
नहीं, it's
फॉर्मेट थोड़ा
nice. Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice. So
हुँ।
I'm reading about it because it's technical, too technical for me to talk about inventories and all the techniques,
हाँ,
but still,
टेक्निकल है, तो मैंने कहा कि
broader,
थोड़ा-सा
broader way.
हाँ,
Yeah, broader way.
बट वी
And of
शुड नो व्हाट
course,
ऑल इज़ हैपनिंग इन दिस
yeah, definitely. And Swapan से भी थोड़ी help लिया सब सब IIFMites बैठे हो Swapan है and then you have Charu, so we all discussed together. So they gave me
हुँ,
inputs as well. Now, of course, I've been doing a resource accounting, which talks about all these things. Without these, we can't move forward. But regarding
हुँ,
the techniques, and I can talk more about the utility of such process mechanism and policy to communities, research, and lots of such things. Because if inventories are there, properly organized, well organized, they're meaningful, we can do our work much more smoothly. So,
दैट्स
yeah,
दैट्स
yeah.
ट्रू। आप अभी कहाँ हैं? दिल्ली में ही हैं?
I came to Bhopal day before yesterday,
अच्छा।
and tomorrow morning I'm leaving for Shillong from here, going to
ओह! शिलांग में
Delhi.
क्या हो रहा है?
We did a study, हम लोगों ने एक मेघालय फॉरेस्ट के लिए करी थी. And then a very big study is going on agroforestry and earning carbon credits by, interventions and bringing people to invest in various interventions for agroforestry. So I worked on the evaluation study, तो उसका presentation है to the senior people.
अच्छा,
ठीक है.
ओके, ओके, ओके।
आज
हाँ,
बहुत बोलना सुबह से हो गया था, so many meetings happening.
तो आप थोड़ा वो कीजिए, कंसंट्रेट
I'll just
कीजिए।
take some
आई
bit of
आई
rest.
जॉइन
Chill, हाँ.
सम टाइम।
ठीक है,
ठीक है,
good, good, we'll
ठीक
catch
है,
up.
ओके, सी
Thank
यू
you.
सी यू।
Thank you for inviting. Yeah, thank you.
नहीं, नहीं, सो हैप्पी दैट यू आर देयर। अरे मूछे तुम्हारी
Means
गजब हो रही है भाई,
Hey,
गजब
good
मूछे,
good evening, good
मजा आ
evening.
गया। हाँ
भाई आज का सब्जेक्ट ऐसा है तो थोड़ा should be
हाँ,
कहीं बाहर से भी
सब्जेक्ट
लाके
ऐसा है। तो लोग 21 हो गए हैं, लेट्स वेट टिल 30।
हाँ ठीक है।
फ्रांस is France there?
I
Arnold?
yeah, he's there.
Yes, I am
Okay.
here.
okay. Nikhil is going to be there? Right there? No.
Should be there, देखिए।
Not yet.
और क्या, where are you? जयपुर?
हाँ बिल्कुल जयपुर अभी for another maybe 5-7 days फिर वापस बंगाल में पौधे लगा रहे हैं।
हाँ, लोग आ रहे हैं धीरे धीरे।
Yeah, but this is a purely kind of a technical forestry subject. Might not be suiting to Africans, people who are in Africa or other
क्या?
places.
No, थोड़ा speak loudly, I can't hear you.
मैं कहा अफ्रीका में रहने वाले those people who are in Africa, the timing may not suit. I don't know.
Yeah, it is
We have
difficult
some.
to find a suitable time because
Right.
in
Yeah.
India, if you do it earlier, then people have not yet come back home.
Mm-hmm.
They are stuck in traffic and all that. And if you do it later, it's just too late. Arnold is there.
Yeah, he's there.
Hi, Arnold.
Hello, Sandeep. How are you?
Good, good. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for doing
long
this.
time no see.
Huh?
Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Last time it was during the Holy Festival.
During Holi, yes.
Yeah.
So we are just wait for 2 more minutes because people are joining in, and then we'll start. In any case,
Okay.
we also share the link on YouTube, and so many people see it later on.
Yeah.
I believe three of you had some conversations already, so you are all prepared.
We had with Madhu yesterday, and also for testing.
Testing,
Two
yeah.
hours ago, 1 hour, 1.5 hours ago.
Yeah, sometimes these platforms create a lot of problem. We have bought a WebEx platform, but it creates so many problems that we don't use it, although we paid the full year fees. Yeah, lots of issues with WebEx.
Oh, that. But Teams is for free. It's Microsoft Teams.
Teams is free.
You don't have to pay for it. Yeah, so and it's very stable, very good.
Yeah, maybe we'll use
There's
Teams.
also Google Meet. Google Meet is also not bad, but maybe I haven't worked a lot with it.
And these are free.
Yeah, so Google Meet also free.
Okay. Amrita, are you listening?
Yeah, sir, but I guess the recording option is not available when we use the free platform.
No, this one has recording.
Yes, this one is recording. This is a subscription of IORA.
So I will record.
We will record it. Yeah, we will record it. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
these sections
Amrita,
are
we'll
being
start
given.
now. It's 9:05. We have 30 people. This is quite a good number. So
Yeah.
you can start the recording.
Okay, great. Good evening to all. There are around 30 people now. Are you able to listen to me, hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Buzzing
Okay,
this
great.
side.
This is a continuation of our lecture series, and we have very interesting and pure forestry kind of a topic today, which is National Forest Resource Monitoring. And actually, it is extremely relevant for IIFM alumni, students, people who are working in carbon space. I have the honor to introduce you today our very celebrated experts, Franz, Eugen, Arnold, and Begum Dr. Madhu Verma. We will follow this format. The presentation will be given by Franz, and they will be discussing. This presentation is an overview on modern requirements for large forest area monitoring, guidelines, tools provided by FAO for countries to enhance and improve their national forest monitoring capabilities for various purposes. For example, national and international reporting, and on the state of forest, climate change, various actions, and very recently, the EUDR thing recently, the deforestation free supply chain compliance, all these issues. And he will give a few examples, country examples in Southeast Asia where FAO support is active. So this is the format we will follow. After I introduce our President and Ambassador Sandeep will formally welcome the guests, experts, and share a lecture series and his views and relevance of the topic. And then we will have presentation and discussion, and then we'll have Q&A. So, okay. Uh, Frank has very wide range of experience in forestry, forest-related climate change actions in different natural political organizations and environments. He is currently in Indonesia since February 2024 as CTA for the NFI project in Indonesia and as advisor for the MRV component of the UN REDD program with station at Jakarta. During last 29 years, he has mainly been working in developing countries in Latin America, for example, Chile, Nicaragua, Peru, Mexico, uh, uh, Equatorial Guinea, Southeast Asia, including Myanmar. That's what I love. Uh, Maybe I don't know how our paths could not cross when I was in Myanmar and the Caribbean countries. He was involved in developing and implementing national scale programs, various national scale programs, that is, REDD programs, subnational forest and biodiversity conservation plans, large forest area monitoring with different support initiatives such as World Bank FCPF, UNREDD program, GCF, as well as with bilateral ODA. And he has also been involved in lead advisory for updating and quantifying of NDCs, especially he mentions Myanmar. I would love to hear that, and GHG inventories for the land use and land use change and forest sectors. Welcome, Franz, and we are really happy and honored and delighted to hear from you and your discussion with Dr. Madhu Verma. Our other expert is Dr. Madhu Verma, who is a Fulbright fellow, lead fellow, INSEE fellow, UNESCO, Indian Women in Science. That is his basic profile goes. Very experienced, very well traveled, very widely experienced professional in forestry and ecology and environment sector. He is currently senior economic. She is currently senior economic advisor at IORA. We all know it, an environmental advisory firm, New Delhi. Before that, she worked as a chief economist at WRI Washington, as professor of IIFM for 25 years. A very long tenure at IIFM, 10 years with Bhopal University. At a national level, she's an expert member in monitoring committee of compensatory afforestation and planning agency, that is CAMPA, MOFCC. She's the expert member technical working group on exploring financing options towards Global Tiger Recovery Program, national expert member, National Tiger Conservatory. She's the chairperson of technical committee under Wetland Authority. It's a very, very long experience and very rich experience she brings to the table. She has led, many influential projects for various ministries, and mainly she does action and policy research and has 40 years of experience and traveled across more than 40 countries. So 40 years, 40 countries. And she has collaborated with universities like Stanford, Minnesota, Cambridge, Liverpool, Manchester, you name it, and she has these things on her profile. Welcome, Dr. Madhu Verma. We are very sure that it will be a very interesting discussion with Franz. I am sure the alumni and students would benefit immensely from this today's lecture. Over to you, Sandeep, for a few words, and then we will hand over to Madhu and Franz.
Thank you, Dharmendra. While you introduced our speaker, Franz, Arnold, and Dr. Madhu Verma, I think it is my duty to introduce you as well. Well, the first thing that I want to say is that Dharmendra is my batchmate, so I think he is the second batch of our institute. Arnold, for your information, this is not a technical forestry institute, it's a forest management institute. So we have some knowledge of technical forestry, and little knowledge is always dangerous. So you can make your own judgment on how much we know about forestry. But the point is that several people then branch out into different careers. Some of us got into forestry, and Dharmendra is one of them. He has spent his entire career in forestry, and he did industrial plantations and forestry for several corporates. And his last formal job was in Myanmar, and then he moved to India, and now he's supporting several initiatives. This institute is since 1989. I think the first batch joined in 1888. So it's more than 3 decades old, and we have an alumni association. And every month we try to have a talk by an eminent speaker on environment, forestry, development related issues. And I must tell all those who have tuned in that I met Arnold or Franz at a holy get together, and I normally try to talk to everybody. My children say that I can even talk to a tree. So in this case, I was talking to a forester, which which was very productive. And when I came to know his area of work, I was so fascinated, and I immediately requested him to speak to our alumni, and he consented. But he was busy, neck deep in work till last week or so. And all credit to him, he reached out on his own. He remembered that conversation from last 3 months back during Holi, and he reached out to us. And then immediately the names of Dr. Madhu Verma and Dharmendra Doke came to my mind, and I said this would be a wonderful panel of people who are working on this subject. So thank you for joining us, and over to you now. Franz, you can speak for 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll request Madhuji to respond, and then Dharmendra will moderate the Q&A session. Over to you.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much, Sandeep. Now let me share my my screen.
I would request all others to kindly keep your mics muted, please, and IORA team to make sure that the others are muted, except Dr. Madhu and 4 or 5 of us.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yes.
you see the screen also?
Yes.
Okay, So the idea of the World Sandeep already mentioned this, why we came to discuss this today. It's my area of expertise for many years, National Forest Resource Monitoring, and especially with FAO. So I will talk a little bit about what FAO does, what guidelines we are using, what tools we are recommending to countries, and also then some experiences from different countries, either where I have been involved in or where I have information from, and also a bit of an outlook of what's coming up now, what is emerging needs also, and emerging purposes for national forest monitoring. So just a look back here, that FAO is actually active in this area of work since the beginning of the establishment of FAO after the World War II, 1945. There has constantly over the years and over the decades been work on supporting countries developing guidelines and tools, recommendations, and support all over the world. This is an ongoing work which is probably in the 1980s, 1990s, a bit has become more stronger. Some of you may remember the tropical forest action plans of that time. Then later on in the 2010 years, up until now, it's become more prominent again also. So here an overview of how for national forest monitoring, the scope and the purposes have changed over the years, over the decades. Actually, it started out in the early years of the 20th century of purely timber supply oriented monitoring and inventory system, and then more and more over the years other purposes came into the focus, until we are now in a very complex system which have to cover the classical forestry purposes, but also a lot about ecology, conservation, and global and environmental policy goals and targets. Here, an example, what is very, very prominent now in many countries is national forest monitoring for climate change and REDD+ reporting. I have here this from a screenshot from the Warsaw framework for REDD+ modalities of national forest monitoring system. This is our overall guiding line at the moment, for developing support in countries. So the national forest monitoring system should develop adequate and predictable, or the support should be adequate and predictable, including financial resources, and the systems as such, they need to be robust, should provide data and information that are transparent, consistent over time, and suitable for measuring and reporting and verifying, especially in this context, forest-related emissions and removals of greenhouse gases. There's a lot of more detailed guidance is actually out there from the gold standard, from Global Forest Observation Initiative, but our main guidance where we build on is what we have in UNFCCC and also the guidance then from the International Panel on Climate Change. FAO has a specific guideline developed on what's called voluntary guidelines on national forest monitoring since 2017. This is a guideline which covers not only technical elements. We have in here, well, this what you normally need for national forest monitoring, planning and design, statistical design, the data management and everything. But there are also strategic and political elements included. This is very important actually for for the institutionalization and for the sustainability of the system. For those who are interested, they can look at the guideline here on this web link I have on the presentation. And FAO's FAO's internal guidance is this here, that we work demand driven, that we what we want to build capacities in countries, that we use participatory processes, so including all relevant stakeholders, not only with forestry professionals, but also talk to NGOs, local communities, all those, so that we get an overview, a full and comprehensive overview of the needs of national forest monitoring from all stakeholders. Also, of course, the national international reporting requirements, but also then elements of knowledge sharing and the topics of institutionalization and sustainability, what I mentioned before, more in the area of as we have found strategic and political elements within national forest monitoring and national forest inventory. So we have also, this is maybe of interest for some of you, an NFMS assessment tool where you can, following this the guidelines, this is an Excel sheet where you can check your management system, your forest monitoring system, according to those three, mainly the voluntary guideline, but also Red Compass from the Global Forest Observation Initiative, and also many elements from FAO's experience in different national contexts. Again, here we have the web link also for those interested in doing this. And to give you an overview where we stand with our global support work, in many countries is and has been working as this FAO support and national forest monitoring. Here in the region, in the Southeast Asian region, we have 9 countries at the moment. In Latin America and the Caribbean are 8, and then Africa are 7 for national forest inventory. And for satellite land monitoring systems, the support is active in around 40 countries. And also in specific work on forest reference levels and greenhouse gas inventory in 20 countries. Here also an overview of what has been done over the last 10 years roughly worldwide in support to reference level submissions to the UNFCCC, the United Nations Forum on United Nations Framework Convention, actually, on climate change. Not all countries have received support by FAO, but most of them, 70% roughly of the countries. I have here, I've seen that there was India also included in 2018, but I don't know whether there was support from FAO or it was done just only with the existing resources in India, the Forest Survey of India, and other institutions. Indonesia at least received support here in 2016 for forest reference level development, and also as Indonesia is a country quite advanced in this climate change action, they have been support for results-based payments. 2018 and 2021. And here an overview in the region here in those countries. In Cambodia, we are working on NFI, National Forest Inventory implementation in mangroves and upland areas with GEF and GCF funding. This is still ongoing. Indonesia, this is what I'm doing at the moment, a redesign of the National Forest Inventory, how to develop a new design, sampling approaches, field cluster plot and field methodology design, and also all what needs to be done now for the operational implementation. So this is in its final stages, but we are thinking now about options and platforms to further help Indonesia in the process over the coming years, 2025, 2029. Papua New Guinea also, there's work on NFI database and data analysis facilities. On the Solomon Islands, there's work. I think there's an Indian colleague of yours also working in Solomon Islands. Raushan, I don't know whether you know him, Raushan Kumar, I think is his name. Thailand is work on emission factors, database and data analysis with World Bank FCPF work. In Laos, there is work on NFI data analysis. In Vietnam, support in updating the forest reference level. Timor-Leste, there's its work which is in its early stages for improving emission factors and some piloting of a new national forest inventory, the TCF readiness funding in Bangladesh. The second phase of the NFI with with World Bank funding and US aid technical support. What is this? So now here's some country examples. This is for the NFI from Bangladesh. This was work done between 2015 2019, a full development of a new updated national forest inventory system, which covers all land areas in the country, with, as I mentioned before, with support by the US Forest Service and also FAO. Here, one important element of this work is mangrove forest in the Sundarbar area, Sundarbar zone, and also coastal and Sundarbans is the ones which have mangroves. So there's work being done in carbon accounting, carbon stock measurement in the mangroves. Then for Myanmar, in Myanmar, I was also involved here, 2017 until the military coup in early 2021. Again, a full redesign of national forest inventory, which also covered all areas of planning, from the overall design, sampling design, field plot design, establishing of measurement of data management and data collection, analysis and processing system. Here also we have some, we could develop some work in the mangroves, but then we couldn't do this further because of the military coup. We have only some data from the mangroves. Roughly a third of the mangroves have been measured, and here we have some interesting results. You can see this here. This is an application we made last year in the International Forest Review, and the overall design. This was actually a paper for the Indian Forester from 2019. Also something you could look up if you're interested. And this is our ongoing support in Indonesia, the redesign of the NFI. Yeah, basically the same as what we've done in other countries. Also, overall design on complete reshuffling of the existing system with a new field plot design. Also, this is work which needs to be done still. Data management, data processing systems. They are not yet established, but hopefully we find financial support for doing this. In Indonesia, a new feature is this panel design. This has been planned in a panel design because this reduces the amount of budget you would need for every year. Field costs of measurements in NFI are very, very expensive. This is 50 to 60% of the overall cost of an NFI. So there are systems which can help to distribute the field costs over several years, and also the corresponding accordingly then management system for this. Then here a look at the tools and emerging technologies. This is most or practically all of what has been done in forest monitoring in the country at national level goes also into global reporting, the Global Forest Resource Assessment. Not sure how whether you are aware of this, but FAO, so every couple of years develop a national forest resource, a global forest resource assessment, which is a compilation of all, I don't know how many, 100 and more than 150 or 180 countries, which report then to this global system with those four elements. We are supporting satellite-based land monitoring system, the NFI, greenhouse gas inventories, and forest reference level. Here, a short view on the tools, on the national forest monitoring tools we are working with, and what we recommend then to countries. Here in the window on the left, we have this collect system, which is a traditional, already more than 10-15 years in work. This is actually the workhorse, you can say, of our open forest and openly accessible tools we are using and recommending to countries for data collection, but also for the design planning. You can do both with collect, and there's a mobile version which can be uploaded and used on smartphones or tablets. And Calc this is our tool for processing and analysis of the data. And then here the land area systems collect Earth for land area monitoring, or land area assessment systems collect Earth online, Earth map, and CPAL. I will talk a little bit more about CPAL later here. CPAL is a quite interesting instrument, which is also accessible openly to everyone who wants to use it. It's a platform for data processing and for delivery of satellite data, which are analysis ready. So people who work with this system, they can with CPAL, mostly together with other instruments, with Google Earth Engine, do land assessment work, develop their maps, and do also other kind of assessment work, land cover assessment, forest cover assessment, change data or change detection. There for change detection, there are two systems two algorithms actually in CPAL. This is one is BFAST, the other is CCTC. BFAST has been, I know that's been used in Africa. CCTC we have used in Myanmar for subnational forest reference level. So this is quite useful, and also for other work which is needed for forest reference level, sample-based area estimation. Yeah, this in order to develop statistics for stable forest areas and for change areas. Then what is upcoming now is there are a new project, a worldwide, a global project. It's called AIM for Forest, which brings together our classical open forest instrument and CPAL, and aims to further develop them and make this available for countries who want to use this. It's a collaboration also with NICFI, with the International Climate and Forest Initiative of Norway, where Norway provides high resolution satellite images for everyone in the tropical regions who can demonstrate a reasonable interest. You can see here with already more than 180 countries working on it, and more than 14,000 users according to our statistics. And here, this is another thing which is of interest, I guess, could be of interest for you also, this e-learning module for National Forest Inventory with 8 modules. This is also openly accessible. You have to inscribe yourself and request access to the systems, and either you go through these modules by yourself, or you participate in some of the courses which are offered also a couple of times during the year. And this is the newest thing what we have at the moment is Forest Data Partnership, and related to the to new demands from the consumer side for deforestation-free supply chains. So I don't know whether this is relevant for India, but it is very relevant for Indonesia, also other countries, for Malaysia, probably for African countries, also in South America, Brazil, all those countries which export products like timber, coffee, tea, oil palm, rubber to the European Union. They have to now to comply with certain criteria and demonstrate that the products they produce, they are not coming from areas which have been deforested after a certain cutoff date. So this is in a partnership here with NICFI also, the Norwegian Climate and Forest Initiative, but also others, as you can see here, USAID, WIA, World Resource Institute, and Google also. Google is very important in this context. And this is here an example. This from Africa, from Ghana, where with this system where you can distinguish then forest from other land use types, yeah, so that you can distinguish it from is it a natural forest, is it a savanna, or is it also maybe a palm oil plantation, and also what has been before on if it was a palm oil plantation, has there before the cutoff date, has there been a natural forest, or what was the lead covered land use before, and accordingly to that, this would go then into this compliance report, which is then or it's the procedure actually. This is presented here. When is another instrument. This is here. This on the left-hand side. It's called Ground, Open Forest Ground. So not actually something what countries would have to do, but companies, the ones who export in the first place. But they will have to rely on data and data sets provided by countries, and also global data. So this is a process which goes through from plot areas on the ground, and is uploading then into a global data platform where they make this the identity anonymous. There it goes then into further database and libraries which then can be used in the end for developing compliance supports, which then the corresponding institutions, in this case in the EU, can check and see whether the products which goes into the European Union in this case comes from an area which is deforestation free or not. And there are many other aspects to this here too, but from the monitoring side, this would look like this here. And and that's the end of my presentation. Yeah, thank you for your attention, and I hope I have stayed within the 15 minutes, roughly 15-20 minutes, not take too much time from you. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Dr. Madhu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arnold, for a very wonderful presentation, very informative, very useful for all set of stakeholders who are sitting and attending this particular session. In fact, and thank you first of all, Sandeep, for inviting me to this wonderful session. I'm rather sitting here as a student than as an expert, and I must tell that Sandeep was just mentioning about that he speaks to trees. And he has spoken so much that trees started speaking to him, and he writes a wonderful column on speaking tree these days. So that is a connect, so powerful has been IIFM's education, IIFM's, cloud on all of us. I am also kind of an alumnus to IIFM, so wonderful to be here. And thank you, Dharmen, for a very generous introduction. And well, I must say, Arnold, I am on the other side of the table. I'm in the user community of your huge amount of effort that you're making to organize information, organize data. And it's such a timely, I must compliment Sandeep and Dharmen and the whole set of IFM alumnus to such a useful, topic for discussion and for presentation, getting updated information about, National Forest Inventory and in a decade, which is a decade of ecosystem restoration, because very wonderfully Arnold connected the entire presentation to its usefulness, its utility, and talking about Paris Agreement, connecting to NDC, SDGs also, we talk about, Red Plus definitely mentioned about. So very, very, and then what I could also understand from the whole presentation, there's so much of stress by FAO in terms of high quality, of data. Its timeliness, because data which comes late is of no meaning, and it's very high quality, high resolution, which can deep dive. You can and get a very pixeled kind of information, very sort of granular information you can get through such approaches. And also, I was quite impressed to see the kind of format that FAO has been following. It's not just, forest monitoring you're trying to create an inventory, but you also provide global forest resource assessment to understand countrywide, applications of your tools. And at the same time, not just you increase partnerships to engage more countries, you also do capacity building. It's not that you just act as a source of information. You also enlarge your community to engage many more people. And you also set communities who are actually the user of information are engaged in the whole process. It's very, very, useful, and enormous, applications can be seen because of this kind of monitoring system. I would say from my point of view, I am an environmental economist and I am the end user of the entire data. We worked very closely with Forest Survey of India. We rely a lot on, FAO data on doing ecosystems modeling, because we still have to go to the granularity of information in our own systems to get that kind of data to enter into system to do ecosystem services mapping and modeling. And then we take it forward for monetizing these services. And of course, we also are engaged in monitoring system. So it's that's what I found it to be very useful. But I have, very quick two questions to set the tone, and then I'll hand it over to Dharmen to look at the chat box and, invite people to ask questions. Of course, you said you worked across many countries and South Asia, Southeast Asia, Caribbean, Africa. So what has been your experiences in developing national level inventories for forest carbon? Because you related very strongly to Red Plus and, NDC and a couple of such, targets. And there's so much of, work, and where I work now, one of the alumnus organizations, Swapans, we talk a lot about, climate financing, carbon credits in these markets. And India is an evolving economy for such markets, definitely. So how has been your experience across various countries, and how can accuracy in these be enhanced, the data which is being maintained? So this is my first question. To have one, two, or two more, then I'll hand it over to Dharmen.
Should I answer directly?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is a very, very, very important question, of course. This is actually the whole motivation behind this this support to countries to improve data accuracy and the reliability of the data, because as you also rightly mentioned, many countries, climate finance, results-based payment, access to donor money, or private private finance for climate change projects, climate action projects. It's increasingly required to have high quality and high integrity data, and also data with at least with known uncertainties. In the beginning, when this started out, let's say in the early 2010s, there was not so much a view on the accuracy of the data and uncertainty assessments. But nowadays it's very important, and several of the climate finance instruments, they look specifically, they have specific criteria, the monitoring system they have to fulfill in order to access the climate finance, or if they don't fulfill them, then they either they get deductions from climate finance, or they simply fail and cannot be supported. Yeah, this is but on the other hand, this is also you cannot so quickly, if depending on the situation in the country, to change a system which is established and maybe not as accurate and reliable as it should be, or also not as timely. You mentioned in your introductory speech that timely availability of data is also very important. If they come too late, or they don't come, or they come at let's say in periods which when the decision making has already been done, or they're not available for when the decision is made. This is also a very important aspect. All this is what we try to improve, but with a view on stepwise improvement and involvement of all relevant stakeholders, and also, and you mentioned this too, this capacity building in countries. The idea is not always to bring in experts from outside, but try to improve the capacity of national experts and national professionals. And this can be done then either with international experts, or also with regional experts. Here in the region, in our conversation yesterday, I mentioned to you that we had several cooperation projects with Indian colleagues, with Forest Survey of India, and also with the Forest Research Institute in Kerala, in southern India. So the idea is to employ regional experts which have maybe a better view of the needs and also the possibilities of what people can develop, and where the difficulties are they have, or the gaps they have, and have so more feasible, more practical capacity building programs, and maybe also plans of improvement over time. So this is indeed something very, very important. This is also done in other regions. What India is here in the region would be one of the anchors, you could say, or the resources countries could use. In South America, it's Brazil. Brazil is often one of the provider of technical support to other countries in the region, and maybe Indonesia one day will also be in this position for certain aspects of national forest monitoring. I think Indonesia would already be capable of doing this, to helping other countries to set up, improve their systems, but also always in combination then with our overall global work, and all the tools we have. They are developed centrally in headquarters, or in collaboration with research institutes or universities in Europe or in the US, and sometimes also regional universities. I'm not sure if this responds your question.
Definitely. I mean, you elaborated very well, and we could understand the challenges one faces when you start doing these kinds of activities. And great that you are doing a lot of hand-holding and capacity building to bring different countries at par with each other. The very quick next question is, I'm an environmental economist, and the three pillars of my approach is policy, institutions, and markets. And very wonderfully, you connected entire approach to the interventions that policy interventions which will be required in terms of eco restoration and kind of changes or management of the whole sector, and also talked about institutionalization of the entire approach, because unless something is institutionalized, you cannot, without institutions, you cannot affect the policy. And then connecting with the markets, we talk a lot about carbon markets, RED Plus. So the tagline, and this is the platform of forest management we're talking at, so my one of the taglines that I use for my work is measuring what we manage. So unless you measure, you cannot manage. So this is what, through my approach of measuring, monetizing, we try to bring knowledge to the policymakers and whole set of stakeholders. So in this particular context, I have a very quick question is, because the way you get information, you definitely make an entry and try to provide a larger set of information. It comes from the ground. So what is the role of communities and non-forest actors in these inventories that you make for at the national level for forest? So what role is being assigned to different for non-forest actors as well and communities? Thank you.
Okay, also a very important question. There are different angles to this issue. Yeah, so there is on the one hand those actors, they are stakeholders, and they're stakeholders at different scales, and so we need to consult with them, to include them into the planning stage and the design stage from the very early beginning, so that we have a clear picture about the information needs. Yeah, so what data, what type of information is actually needed for decision making in different areas and for different stakeholders and at different scales. National forest and national forest monitoring or national forest inventory system can also increasingly provide information at subnational levels, depending on how it's designed. And there, on subnational larger area, inventory and monitoring data can be as useful as for the national level. So this is so when we get right from the beginning an adequate picture of the information and data needs, then this can be considered and will be considered in the overall design, in the sampling approaches, and also importantly in the reporting. Yeah, in the kind of reporting, frequency of reporting, all the aspects included in the reporting. This is one thing or one angle, and the other is the involvement in the actual monitoring as such. In some countries, NGOs are included. Yeah, they can take over some part of the activities of the monitoring, or they do this in collaboration with the government. Obviously, it depends a bit on how the relations are between government and NGOs. They are not always in all countries so free of conflict. So, but in some countries it can be used for example, when I was in Myanmar, WWF they carried out monitoring on mangroves and on oil palm plantations in southern Myanmar, also on rubber plantations, and the information from there has been used in also in, let's say, in government policy considerations. Yeah, and the other thing is in communities. Communities can be included in the work. There are approaches for community-based forest monitoring, which can be just like traditional forest control. Yeah, identifying illegal logging or deforestation activities, illegal deforestation activities, and connect this then to the corresponding law enforcement institutions, or can also so in social forestry area, community forestry area, parts of the monitoring work could be delegated to community members if they have either if they have forestry technicians or professionals in their community, or some of them get some training, capacity building in order to carry out measurements and report this then adequately to some kind of a central data collection instance, which can be a regional government or a provincial government or whatever, and from there then up to the national instances of the margin system throughout the varied possibilities of inclusion of communities and other stakeholders.
Very, very useful, Arnold, very, very useful. And it can easily connect to two things that we are pursuing currently. I happen to be an expert member on the National Committee on Forest Monitoring through CAMPA, which are the plantations done while the forest land gets diverted. You have a compensatory forestation being done. So we're developing a framework, a national level framework, and your presentation, your entire knowledge is very, very handy for us, very useful, and we'll get connected to you further. And secondly, I also found very interesting about your talk about the coastal, the mangroves, mangrove forest. And there's a huge scope. We talked a lot about carbon on the, on the inland side of the forest area. Now the mangrove forests are being considered, and there's a huge scope to develop market, or a market is coming up for blue carbon as well, which has a much more much higher potential of sequestering carbon as compared to the terrestrial, region. So thank you so much for giving huge amount of information. I am not come now between lots of people. We have lots of questions. I hand it over to Dharmesh to, handle the Q&A session. Thank you so much for your response.
So delighted. Excellent going. I invite all the listeners to raise their hands or put in questions in chat box. Till they do, I don't see many so far, but there's one question by Sandeep himself. But I want to ask one before people start putting in questions. What has been the most adventurous experience for you, and in which country, what location? Briefly, just to make the whole thing lighter.
Yeah, you may have guessed it, Myanmar.
Yeah,
Myanmar.
I there in Ayavadi and Paten areas where you are talking about mangroves, and I was there from 2015 to 2021.
Okay, during my time.
Yeah, we might have met in one of the forest department DG's meeting. Ninicha was DG then. Ninicha, and who later on after the coup he became the secretary.
Yeah.
But anyway, over to you. Your experience. Anything specific? Anything? How you came over something?
You mentioned it also a bit. The mangroves were obviously interesting for me. It's in southern Myanmar, so quite adventurous and moving through the mangrove areas, knowing all the different species. We made I led an investigation on the mangrove inventory. I've mentioned this in one of my slides. If you're interested, I can send you the link to this also. So in the differences in the comparison, then also with other mangroves in the region, with Bangladesh, with Thailand, also Indonesia. And curiously, in Indonesia, we have actually less information on less inventory in mangroves than we have in Myanmar. Yeah. But in Myanmar, what was also interesting is the mountainous forest. If you go up there into Shan State or in Sagaing region, what I found quite interesting that many of the tree genera I know from Europe. Yeah, oaks, for example. Yeah, Quercus species you can find there too. Also other temperate tree genera, you find them in the mountainous region of Myanmar, and sometimes mixed with tropical species. It's a very, very peculiar mixture of floral elements you can find there. So this was actually for me quite impressive in the tropics. And the other more impressive experiences from my time in South America, in Chile especially. The native forest, the temperate rainforest in southern Chile, and the work in different work, also monitoring inventory work we did there, but also work on forest management planning and support to indigenous communities in reforestation with native species, and other silvicultural options for reforestation and afforestation. Yeah.
Great.
Perhaps these are two examples.
Yeah. Sandeep, you had a question. You're mute.
Yeah, my question, Arnold, is you see this EUDR is a very sensitive issue here. My question is, whenever it is comes into force, will it apply to like legacy deforestation? Like, let's say there was some deforestation done 20-30 years back, and now there is an all palm plantation there. So will that come under the purview of that, or will it be applicable to new deforestation? What is your understanding of that?
Yeah, very good question, and this is a concern of many countries, including the American government. I don't know, have you read this article in the Financial Times that the American government has complained also to the European Union with this EUDR, which is still it's actually on the one hand not so clear in all aspects, and then on the other hand also quite strict in if they want to apply it the way it's intended. But the cutoff date is actually the 31st of December 2020. So any deforestation after this date, so from the 1st January of 2021 onwards, this would then be considered as not compliant if it's proven that the product which enters then the EU market has not been or has been developed or has been harvested on areas which have been forest before. But the problem is here in Indonesia and in other countries also, the mapping source the European Union is using and the mapping sources here in the country, they have quite considerable differences. What, for example, in the EU, in this EU map is forest. In the national map here is not forest. It's because it's for example, it's an agroforestry area, or you have a shade tree plantation in coffee or in tea. This appears on the map on this EU map as forest, but it is but it's not forest here because it's an agroforestry area. Yeah, the same also could be. But what I'm not sure about here in Indonesia is where the rubber plantations, is this considered forest or not? Or is this in Myanmar, rubber and oil palm is considered agricultural crop, not forest. So all those areas are not by definition are not forest. And then you have also situations where you have trees which the density of the tree cover is higher than the threshold according to the EU definition, which is similar to the definition of the forest resource, global forest resource assessment, but it is within an agricultural area. So they just only have shade trees or whatever palm trees, jaggery palms or whatever in a rice plantation, a rice field. And this may appear as forest on the European map, but it's obviously not forest here. And then also legal definitions. Then some communities here or social forestry areas, they have concessions for conversion of areas with trees, but they have not yet implemented this site to convert an area into another land use. And then if this is now suddenly in the area which EU considers forest, and they would make use of their concession right and make a rice field or whatever, an orange plantation or something on this area. This would be then, if this product comes to the EU, then it would be considered as deforestation. Although according to national legislation, it's not deforestation. So there are many aspects, many details which still need to be worked out in this area. And we have a group of people in Rome specifically dedicated to working on that.
Okay, thank you. Very, very useful.
Good, lovely. We have, let me ask from the audience, and I have another one question of mine also later on. Amit, would you like to ask, or should I ask on your behalf? Amit?
Yes, sir. Good evening to all. Hello, ma'am. Madhu, ma'am. Hope you are doing well. So, I just wanted to know. I know we are talking about national level forest inventories and climate change related monitoring and evaluation and stuff. But I just wanted to know if these tools that you mentioned in your presentation, have they been used by private entities within at a subnational level for forest inventory management? You did mention about rubber plantations and all not being considered as forests. Is that a no, or are these tools useful? Can these tools be useful for private business entities who would be allied to forestry sector in tropical countries? Is what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The answer is yes. They can be used by anyone. Can be used by private companies. Can be used by communities, indigenous communities, or community forestry groups. Anyone who wants to use it can use it. You can also use this for small scale inventories or monitoring projects or initiatives. This is not limited to national scale. You can use it at any scale you wanted to use it. Yeah. The thing is, the resources in the system, especially for land monitoring, they are more geared towards larger scale monitoring and inventory. If you want to use them for very small scale, let's say at the plot level, maybe you would use other instruments. You would use aerial photographs or photography or other mapping sources. But for this, what I mentioned in my last slide on the process chain for this EU deforestation regulation, there's one instrument. This is new now. It's called this Open Forest Ground. This is something you could use at the plot levels. You can. This is based on the Google Maps. And you can also download this and try it out if you wanted. You would have just only to get permits to use it by the administrator. It's on the web, and then you can use it for very small scale mapping or monitoring purposes. Either for this what I mentioned in my presentation, that it goes into a system, it gets then an identification, an anonymous identification, goes then further in the next step into a bigger database, and from there then into the potential compliance report for this EU deforestation regulation system. But you can also use it for your community forest management purposes, for private concessions, also for plantation forestry, for whatever you would want to use it for.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. That helped. Sorry, sir.
The GPS instruments when you use, I mean, you have collaborations with Google Maps or Google also. They are not exactly matching with the coordinates of Google Map. They are almost 50, 60 feet off. I've tried to use Garmin instruments and normal mobile instrument based GPS. That there could be error because the mobile instrument based GPS cannot be so accurate. But we have tried to use Garmin instruments. They are not so accurate on the Google Maps, but maybe accurate with respect to other geo-referenced imageries. Have you experienced something like that?
Yeah. Well, this is you experience this, and this depends also on the number of satellites you have in the area. Yeah, what we do, for example, when you notice that the accuracy of your GPS, whether this is a Garmin or even a smartphone GPS, you can use this. I have tried this out in Myanmar, so there were between a cheap, very cheap, or even free of charge GPS on the smartphone, and your standard Garmin 64S. This is more or less the same in terms of accuracy, depending on where you stand and where how well you receive then the satellites. So what we then do in this case, if you are on the ground and you have to identify a center point of a plot, for example, yeah, and then you have cloud cover, or the tree cover is so dense that the reception is bad, that you go out into an open area where you have a good reception, and then from there you take then the bearing to your plot location, so that you then basically offline you go and measure then the point where you have to install your center point of the measuring plot. But in general, I have from my experiences between these GPS, the commercial GPS, and the smartphone GPS. And then if you upload this then on Google Maps, if your reception has been good in the field where you have maybe an error of not more than 10 meters, this is it could still be used. Yeah, it obviously, if you want to have really better accuracy than that, yeah, then you have to use another GPS receiver, geodetic GPS receiver with a centimeter level accuracy. Yeah, but this is then very expensive. Easily $10,000-$15,000 for this kind of GPS receivers.
Great, thank you so much. I mean, that's enlightening. I mean, obviously in sunny days it works better, but we have plots which are very small. We are working on carbon projects with farmers, and these are really kind of 0.3 acres, 0.2 acres farmer lands, and I'm referring to TOF. So yes, one of the therefore query is that how is TOF in Indonesia versus Myanmar versus India? Any trends you see in terms of increasing tree cover? How easy or difficult is it to monitor them? The Indian land records are not so good, but then plot sizes are very, very small.
Yeah, for small plots, I think with this view instrument, I could actually show this again here in this. This is this one here. You see this here on the left-hand side. This ground is open forest ground. This is here. This you could use for your purposes. You could try it out if you look at the open forest website and you put in open forest ground, and you see this there. You have to request permit by the administrator, and the open forest ground, the software you can download from the Google Play. Yeah, if you have an Android phone, and then you can use this. You can use it for boundary marcation or for small scale monitoring purposes also. Yeah, and then you can. I think you have access to different map sources in there too, and may also take this then and overlays on other image sources you may have. Yeah, and work with that. I think this is possible. It may be of interest if you work with small-scale farmers in carbon forestry and so forth.
Right. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. We have next Swati Kajaria. She has a question about mangrove monitoring. Swati, are you there? She has a question. How was mangrove monitoring done in Myanmar study? Was it all through manual visits or was it remote sensing data used? If remote sensing data was used, could you suggest any published paper that utilize this method?
Yeah. Well, this is I can go back here again to let's see it's here. What's here? Here I have here this paper down here. This in International Forestry Review. Can you see this? This was published last year in the September issue. This described the approach for the field inventory in the mangroves in Myanmar and results. That's the whole description of the methodology is included there. Here, there was the use of remote sensing was actually for pre-assessment. Because there we used an approach which is called double sampling for stratification. So when you have your candidate plot locations identified, then you carry out an open forest collect earth assessment. This is one of the instruments I have mentioned here in the list. This is also open source. This is visual assessment of plot areas where you can then again use different sources which appear in the system in order to identify the forest types, whether it's forest or it's non-forest, and potentially also what type of forest it is. Then the forest or the tree cover, maybe also then aspects of accessibility and so forth. This has been used for the actual forest inventory work, and then for a subnational forest reference level in the mangrove, this was purely or was mainly remote sensing based with also a system which I have mentioned, and this is part of the CPOL tool. It's with CCDC. This is a change detection system, so time breakpoint change detection system. What we have used there for establishing the deforestation areas, the spatial extension, and in the locations of deforestation, and also the amount and statistics for this. But for this, I don't have a paper because this is an internal work of the UNRED program. I'm not sure whether they have published this on the website of the UNRED program of Myanmar or not. But for the actual inventory, the field inventory work, there is this paper which is I can send it to you if you want, or the link. It's open access actually. You can also put this into Google and then you get access to it.
Okay, great. Swati, I hope that answers your query. Chandan had raised hand. Chandan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, Arnold. Hello, ma'am. How are you? Thanks, Arnold,
Hello.
for having this detailed presentation. My question was that, like, we are monitoring forest through all the technology, but in the voluntary carbon markets, we are not seeing a lot of technology pickup in terms of monitoring and evaluation and even quantification of carbon credits. It's still being done by going on field, and it's quite a cumbersome process. So how do you see adoption, or is there any timeline that you feel that the voluntary carbon markets would also open up to accepting this technology?
I don't see any reason why the voluntary carbon market wouldn't want to accept these tools and instruments. Yeah, so well, they have all their specific requirements, of course, the gold standard and then the Vera standards. It's also Plan Vivo and so forth. So I'm not now don't have this present in my mind now what specifically they require, but normally they do require combination of remote sensing with field data, and how specific they are in terms of what and how this should be. In the voluntary carbon market, I'm not aware of that now. I know that the ART3 standard is very specific. It's extremely specific for the activity data calculation and measurements. Very descriptive. That for others, I'm not sure, but you could, those instruments would probably be very useful for any kind of project, whether this is voluntary carbon market or whether this goes to the GCF or the World Bank results-based payment projects. Whatever system or whatever purpose you would want to put it to, I think this should be possible to use. Maybe it's a problem that people don't know it, or they are not aware of it. Yeah, because we mostly work with governments, with forest departments and forest administration and environmental ministries. Not so much with private sector, with concessionaires, and although there's some work has been done when these subnational and jurisdictional approaches became more prominent. So there is some contributions from FAO side in the guidelines development. For example, this from Vera, this nested and jurisdictional approaches of JNR. But as I said, the tools you could use them for whatever projects and whatever owner of the forest you have.
Thanks.
Yeah,
thanks, Arnold. Yeah. My question was more towards the ARR thing, the afforestation reforestation project, because in that the methodologies demand most of the data and even the monitoring to be field based. So it's like the methodologies are yet to move towards remote monitoring, and your models clearly say that the remote monitoring is very robust and that can be adopted in quantification and permanence issues. So yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, actually, we don't say that one thing is better than the others. You have to combine. You always need ground data for calibration of your models, and also for the whole inventory work is mostly ground based. Yeah, but there's work going on trying to also use more remote sensing radar data or the laser, spaceborne laser or airborne laser. And this probably in a few years' time there will be more instruments available, which then may replace more fieldwork than they do nowadays. But at the moment, still fieldwork is very important.
Any usage of drones for these smaller projects which Chandan is referring to? Any tools which help the use of drones and analysis of imagery through the drones, which is fairly low cost and effective?
Yeah, of course. It's, again, for social and community forestry, in Myanmar we have used this in a JEF project, that a community forestry area, an area which was recognized by the government as community forestry. You can with drones, basically you can photograph, so to say, then the area of the community, and then and this is nice actually. Then the drone, if you have the drone pictures on the computer on your laptop, and you can show them immediately to the community people, to the community leaders, and they know, this area, this is my parcel, and here this is my neighbor, and so forth, and then you can discuss and explain to them what would be best in terms of management, or where they should focus their community monitoring activities, or whatever. So the drones are very useful, and also in the mangroves. In Bahamas, when I was in Bahamas, there was a parallel project by the Nature Conservancy, the TNC. They use these. Well, they combine satellite images with drones, and this is also quite useful for mangrove mapping, because mangroves, it's often between mangrove and non-mangrove, it's difficult to distinguish, because there's a little difference in the tidal, let's say in the height or the where the water can where this flooding takes place, 1 meter more or 2 meters more, and then the composition is completely different. And this is something what you from normal satellite images, you don't see this. And then if you combine this then with drones, you can very nice finely fine tune and finely map the mangroves against non-mangroves. So this makes a lot of sense, but it is expensive. So you have to consider the cost of this too.
While there are not many questions, let me have one more last one, which is now I see a lot of papers, a lot of tools being claimed to having been developed, which say that with the satellite imagery you can taken over a period of time, taken over a period, different seasons, you can differentiate between species. Species identification through satellite imagery and through floral patterns, changes in leaf colors, and those kind of things. Is it economically cost effective? Is it reliable? Is it efficient technology? Or how do you see the future of this?
Yeah, well, differentiate species. In some cases, it's probably possible. If you have emergent trees in certain forest types, but I think it's more reliable to go by forest type. In Myanmar, we with the Smithsonian Institute, we developed a project of forest type mapping. Yeah, where you have, but there's also you always need to combine this with ground information. Yeah, if you have the reflectance values from your images, you have to relate them then to some ground information, so that you, for example, we could roughly with optical images, we could distinguish between a degraded forest. So and then the bamboo forest, then the lowland rainforest, then the evergreen deciduous mixed deciduous forests, then the triforest, and certain mountain forest types, and for the lowland rainforest between the southern type and the northern type. But if you want then to go into the individual species composition, I think this would require then a level of precision.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in this, but I'm not sure that this is possible. With drones, maybe you could go could somehow approach this better than with satellite images.
Oh, I think there are not many questions. Thank you so much for this, Dr. Madhu. Any thoughts before we close, or have some other comments from Sandeep or someone?
Not exactly very well explained, Arnold, and very intriguing questions, very pertinent questions, and it has given such a diverse, set of information as well as its application, definitely across. You rightly mentioned different set of stakeholders, at different levels, different kinds of types of countries in which you have been doing your amazing work. So I think it's a very, very useful session for us, to a lot of takeaways and a lot of feedback. You will fill it with lots of other requests, and to do further capacity building and also kind of creating collaborations. I think I'm thankful to both the host Sandeep and Dharmin for coming up with such an interesting topic, and which has a lot of utility for so many people across the globe. Thank you. Over to Sandeep.
Thank you. Thank you, Arnold, for this very, very interesting topic. What my takeaway from this is that there are so many resources available, and most of them freely available, which practitioners should use. Sometimes we are not aware that such things are available and these tools are available. And I think you are a big introduction to our community, and I'm sure our institute will connect with you and hold lectures from you, by you, and all of us. I think the questions that came up today, including not only from Dharmendra, but also other people who are listening in, were very, very pertinent. And I think you were answering to some of the needs or doubts that people had in their mind. So that way it was a very practical talk by you, and I'm sure if we have more questions, we can reach out to you. And from my side, I can only say that let's not wait till next Holi before we meet again. And thank you, Dharmendra, for agreeing to moderate this. And I am very happy that three of you, Arnold, Madhuji, and you connected before the talk, so we all knew exactly what this was all about. And thank you, Madhuji. I hope the things that we discussed today will be useful for you in your several roles that you play in understanding India's forest wealth. With these words, thanks to all three of you, and also to all those who are still with us. We started with a larger number, but as the night progressed, I think people have left us. Some of us have left us, but there are already requests for the recording of the talk, which we will soon share. Thank you. Have a very good night. Bye bye.
We got a lot of thought for the food now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Bye.